Rhinoceros milk doesn't tingle everybody's taste buds, but for this rhino baby, it's pure delight. The 200-pound kid was born 3 days ago, one of the few white rhinoceroses in the world to be born in captivity. That, of course, is a great source of pride to Lion Country zoologist Jim Ash. I asked him what names he's bestowed on the 2.5-ton mother and her newborn infant.
Of course, the mother, being a hornless female, first of all was called Stumpy, and then she's, of course, been called Big Mummy, and now she's Big Mummy.
And what is her baby?
Her baby, well, we're working this one out. I think we're going to spling the name of the baby on the world suddenly.
How are you going to get it out of here?
Well, we're not going to get it out of here. The gate is open and she can come and go if she wishes. But at the moment, there's such a nice tree, you know, and throwing so much nice shade, and there's a good floor of pebbles under them. So I'm in no hurry for them to come out. But I believe by midday or this evening she'll be prepared to sally forth into the park.
When the proud mother does sally forth into the park, her tough gray hide is going to turn green. While she was suffering the pangs of childbirth, her husband took up with another woman. Rhinoceroses just don't seem to be one-woman men. This is Martha McIntyre for Channel 8 News on the Move.
Dallas and Fort Worth were among 9 Texas urban areas included in a proposal by the Environmental Protection Agency for transportation controls to clean up the air. The measures include such things as vehicle inspection and improved mass transportation to correct deficiencies in the proposals submitted by the state. Under federal law, urban areas in 23 states were required to submit to the federal government by last April proposals for cleaning up the air. Of those submitted, only 2 won approval of the EPA, those for Alabama and New York. Prior to an afternoon news conference today called by EPA officials locally, Regional Director Arthur Bush detailed what the proposal will mean for Dallas-Fort Worth.
Well, in the case of Dallas, we're proposing that there will have to be a reduction in automobile emissions. We're proposing a more stringent emission testing system and monitoring system where each cars will annually, as part of their annual inspection, be checked for their emissions and will require maintenance until they do meet these. And possibly in Dallas, too, there will be a need for pre-1968 cars to have installed on them what we call a retrofit. That is a relatively inexpensive emission control device, about less than $50 per car.
When are these proposals likely to be put into effect?
We will have public hearings between now and August 15th. We have a court-imposed deadline of August 15th for the promulgation of these proposed standards.
Other proposals for the Dallas area include converting some lanes of major streets and freeways into exclusive use for buses and carpools. In other areas like San Antonio and Houston, the proposals limit the number of parking spaces and limit the growth in gas consumption above the 1972-73 levels. Environmental Protection Agency officials are quick to point out that the new proposed restrictions will have a direct effect on most individuals, and for some Texans it will mean fewer conveniences and less mobility. Iola Johnson reporting for Channel 8 News on the Move.
Colored man, young, about 25, come in the store.
Such as the ad shown in Plaintiff's Exhibit number 9. I'll direct your attention to the bottom part of that rather large ad about a woman can change her dress size by what appears to be 4 sizes. 46. Yes. And the testimony that we have had so far would indicate that they permit the people who come in and sign up to take exercises with machinery. Sir?
Let the record show yes.
Utilize diets that have been obtained from sources such as medical books. What I'll show you is Plaintiff's Exhibit number 26, the Pat Walker.
I have to admit, this is the first time I've been to the regional airport, but isn't it the damnedest thing you ever saw in your life? This airport is larger than Newark, New Jersey, New York's John F. Kennedy, and LaGuardia put together. We went to the administration building today after taking an aerial tour of the airport, and we talked with the Executive Director of Engineering, Mr. Ernest Dean, about not only where the airport is, but some of its peculiar problems at this time.
We are having certain setbacks due to weather and whatnot. We have had claims from contractors to extend their time on their contracts, and we have not really granted that yet, but everybody's dedicated to finishing, and we just still think we probably can make it.
Of course, our viewers are now looking at the airport from the air once again, and in looking at it from this angle, it would appear that transportation may become a problem to you, that is, inroads to the airport.
Well, we have 2 main accesses to the airport, and that's off an interchange at 114 and to the north, and the other one to the south is 183. And they are virtually complete and could be opened for access at any time now.
Well, do you feel those freeways are going to be ready by October 1?
Oh, yes, the interchanges certainly will be.
Howard Riley is the manager of the Texas Turnpike Authority. He wouldn't talk to us on film for the record, but he did say that controversial Trinity Tollway is alive and well and living in the hearts of the engineering study. That study should be completed by the end of September. Now, this airport, should it open in October, is going to need access. You've looked at the access from the air. There's plenty of it. What about the tollway? What about the need for that tollway? Well, that's what the engineer study is all about. But one thing is for sure, when that study comes out in September, it's going to be at least a couple of years before you can spend 50 cents to get here. You're going to have to use the approaches you've been looking at. At the Dallas-Fort Worth Regional Airport, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
He ain't been here.
When he rushes in, he'd leave about 4 o'clock. See if he's gone about 4.
4 o'clock today?
No, yesterday.
I wouldn't say we're cocky. I think, we could say that we're confident, especially now that we're scoring a lot of goals, With Richard Reynolds coming here, it's taking a lot of load off of Carl Rote and Elian Mitchell. And now we've got, instead of 1 or 2 players who can score goals, we've got 3 or 4. And this is taking the pressure off of the boys at the back as well. And I feel against Toronto and Montreal, these are, as I say, there's no easy game in this league at all. But I think these are 2 of the easier games. And I feel, and the rest of the team feel very confident that we can win both games.
Do you feel perhaps a little bit let down this week after being up so long for St. Louis and then coming out and winning that game and then moving ahead? Is the team maybe a little bit on the downside?
No, I wouldn't say on the downside. No, we're professionals, and you've got to be up for every game. And if you're not mentally prepared, then, the game against Philadelphia, I don't think... Well, I personally and some of the other lads weren't ready for that game, We went out there and we tied 0-0, and we thought we could, beat them down here. But they came down and beat us 2-1. Now, you've got to get up for every game. And it's a hard thing to do, really, but you've just got to.
How do you feel about your personal performance this year with the Tornado?
Well, I feel that I've been doing quite well. I always try to give 100%, and the boss, that's Ron Newman, he seems pretty happy with it anyway, so that's the main thing.
Michael Mullenix, the manager of the Safeway store at University in Westbury, said there were a lot of customers in the store at the time of the robbery. However, no one was injured.
He kept hollering he wanted a money order, and finally my assistant got over to the office, and he told him, drew a gun on him, told him to put all the money in the safe, in a bag, and away he went.
Judge D. Brown Walker's Court of Inquiry heard expert testimony from Dr. Arthur Grolman of Southwestern Medical School this morning. Court-appointed prosecutor Whitney Sessions, who describes himself as big and fat, showed the doctor health club ads which promised customers they could effortlessly reduce 4 to 6 dress sizes in 30 days. A program of diet and exercise strenuous enough to do that, the doctor advised, would be extremely dangerous. A tubby little housewife who wants to be more attractive to her husband, said the doctor, would be very disappointed. The purpose of advertising is to mislead, isn't it, he asked. And as far as face peeling by an unprofessional goes, Dr. Grolman said that would be compared to letting a layman take out your appendix on the street. 2 more witnesses complained about dealings with the President's First Lady spa, one lady saying a regimen designed to make her lose 2 inches caused her to gain instead. An official of that company said they were concerned about the 6-inch thick file of complaints to the Better Business Bureau and wanted to prevent them in the future. Meanwhile, as this court of inquiry continues, phone calls are pouring in from more disgruntled customers, most complaining about health clubs' high-pressure tactics in getting them to sign contracts. The inquiry will continue next Thursday. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judy Hanna at the Dallas County Courthouse.
As a general rule, I believe in catching speeders, and that's what he did, and I don't resent it.
Well, good luck
I'm a little
next
bit
time.
upset because I'm going to have to pay a fine.
Now I play a force follow with the cue ball. The cue ball here on the 6. Go ahead, jump over the cushion, and follow through ahead. Stop by self, draw back and make carom on the ball number 1. Maybe. Okay, baby. On the top. Huh? 2 here. Cue ball will be the ball number 1. Follow shot. The cue ball here on the 2nd. Coming close to the battle, but not touch. Take the elevator and take off the ball number 2. Catch my cue, you.
Touch your cue?
No, catch. You're going to make the shot. I make the interview for you. You make the shot for me. Then put a little bit English and you say, I hit it in the 1, I make on the corner, and you win the game. Hear the English? Slowly, go ahead. Don't worry. You see, you are the best champion I see in my life.
Wonder. That's a lesson in pool, or is it billiards?
No, that is pool. Billiard is another thing. Billiard is like the music classic. All the professional pool players used to be practice and start on billiard. The people play more pool because it's more fun and more easy to learn. You can be a medium-sized player in 1 hour, in 1 year practicing pool.
Would you illustrate the difference between a shot done in pool and one done in billiards?
Yes, Rene, glad. For example, this position, you are supposed to make one on this corner. A pool player play like that. See, I make the point.
Right. Now, a pool player goes from this end down to the other end of the table to make this shot, this one shot into this pocket. But a billiard player does what?
A billiard player don't do that. A billiard player do that. The San de Kufa shot.
Billiards is a game of skill. It takes a long time and a lot of practice to master. Mr. Gallegani says it takes about 20 years. Well, by 1993, I should have the game down pat. This is Rene Castillo reporting for Channel 8 News on the Move.
We have no discrimination against any people.
What have you learned then in Liberia that we seem to be having trouble learning in the United States about getting along between races?
Well, I do not know whether you're having trouble in that, but we've learned to respect individuals as human beings and accord them every amount of dignity, and therefore we get along with them as such. If you haven't learned that, well, perhaps that might be interesting to learn.
Mr. President, to what extent...
Mayor Wise ran for re-election on a platform that included a decrease in air pollution. John DeShazo, head of the city's traffic control department, said recently that Dallas could meet federal air quality standards by 1975 without drastic measures to control the use of the automobile. But as it turns out, the federal government does not agree with all this. The government's assessment of the situation, though, is based on information gathered by the city, not by EPA. And apparently there were some problems in gathering that information.
We would challenge the validity of the data because of the numerous technical difficulties which we actually encountered during the collection period, because of the malfunctions of the equipment, the temperature variations, and all had various impacts upon the accuracy of this data.
But the accuracy of one thing is certain. The car is the major source of air pollution in Dallas, for about 90% of it. When atmospheric conditions are right, we can see the air pollution. It shows up as a haze against the skyline. What we don't see is the total air pollution the car creates during the course of a year. Every 12 months in Dallas County, the car belches more than 1 million tons of pollutants into the air. Local and federal officials agree something must be done about that. The disagreement comes over how to do it. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News and The Move.
"88 kids from Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin rolled up the starting line here in Irving this morning for a 40-mile rally. It was up to the blind navigator to direct the driver on the right course by following a list of instructions printed in Braille. They knew they were on the right track if they found the right landmarks along the way. Ann Phillips and Bill Elder found out that was easier said than done. Ann had no trouble reading the Braille instructions to Bill, but he did have a hard time sometimes following them. The left turns that should have been right ones produced more than one U-turn. Martha McIntyre, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Hello there. Red man, keep you going.
Ball. Ball. How's that, John?
And this is another KFDM. KFDM. That's over 5 minutes newscast. Dave Fair can be making his way KEAN Brownswood.
Okay, your timeout, and write it on your instructions, is going to be 12:11. And you have 45 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
You want to know the next questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's our next instruction?
Note traffic light.
Okay, note traffic.